Well, the Afterburner curse lives on. This is our 10th Afterburner. Welcome to Afterburner. Ryan Pinder here, Red Warner in Buffalo. The record, Rhett, 2, 5, and 3. By my math, that's 7 of a possible 20 points. So really bad. That's
It's
the
not.
mark.
It's not more points than games.
It certainly isn't. It's 7 points in 10 games. Not good enough. And what felt like a tricky game and not certainly a tap-in or an easy game. This was another game where the Calgary Flames blew the only lead they had, the only goal they scored. They fall 2-1 to the Detroit Red Wings in what feels like a significant blow. Look, the season has 82 games. There's not certain games where points are more than others, but this one particularly feels ominous, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just has that. Again, you bring up a good point. Detroit is better than what we might envision them or thought of them last year over the last couple of years. They've improved immensely. But it's just another one of those games where the Flames, they outshoot the other team. But it's boring hockey. They aren't high scoring chances. They're not zipping around. They F up the power play. They have opportunities and they don't have the talent to get it done. And it's they certainly didn't have this. I wouldn't say they were dead flat, but they didn't have the same emotion as they had in New York. And maybe that's tough. And again, I said it in the Rangers game. I'm like, well, was that the Flames playing with emotion or was that Trouba running guys and they had to respond?
Yeah.
Like there's a difference there. But it's just you leave the game and I think the first Afterburner you and I did together, this is how I felt about it. It's like, well,
Chicago.
I guess, I'm not going to freak out, but it's, like,
be better.
What are they doing?
Yeah.
The most positive thing that came of the night was the fact that most of the other teams lost, that they're trying to catch. That's the only effing positive.
Yeah. Now, look, they're certainly not out of it in a playoff thing. Like they were tied with Minnesota with a game and more played than Minnesota heading into tonight. They don't pick up any points. It's not that, like their playoff probability just dropped 20%. What a crushing blow, a 4-pointer. No, it's none of those things. It's that, to your point, it wasn't a terribly inspired effort. I think we viewed this team in the offseason as a deep club, and maybe that was before we didn't realize that Oliver Shillington wouldn't be here. But Michael Stone is playing way too much hockey. Nikita Zadorov does not belong in the top 4 and continues to make big mistakes when he is in the top 4. Dennis Gilbert, you love his effort level, but it's a very, very basic, simple game that doesn't really allow you to create chances. And I might push back a little on the talent thing. I think this is a talented roster. I just don't think, for whatever reason, the talent and what Daryl's asked them to do is matching up at all. Like, I just don't understand how I watch Huberdeau, and I'm like, this guy had 115 points last year, and he wasn't playing with Barkov. He was like, what? He was playing with Bennett and Duclair. How the fuck did this guy get 115 points? He looks like a zombie out there and was one of their worst forwards tonight. So, if he's not talented, I'm not getting upset. He is talented. I just don't know what's happened to him. He's not the guy he was in Florida.
You're right. I mean, and I'm basing they're not talented enough on just on what I've seen this year, not years past. But that's the problem if they are talented, they don't have the emotion or the care or the want to prove it. Like, when have they gone out in a game and we've been like, yes, that's, what's maybe even worse? I think the first 5 games of the effing year were the best games.
Yeah. And I think more to that point is, like, they can do it and they have done it, but then they followed up with stinkers. And you win in Seattle, but you lost to the 32nd place team the night before. Like, you go into a tough building, travel back to back, you get a big win, but it's not enough. You've got to string those together.
To me, that's not a good team, right? And
we'll see. Yeah,
whether it's a talent issue or What do you mean we'll see? We're 52.
With Seattle or with Calgary? Sorry.
In general, I'm saying that the Flames,
yes, the Flames. I agree. Yeah,
are not a good team because of how they've played. Because they're 52 games into it.
Yeah.
And their players have a track record of being better, and they aren't. And whether it's the coach or the players turn into shit, I don't know. But they're no fun to watch, and they. I would talk to you before the show. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
You want to cheer for a team, and it's hard to do. And
they really.
You hate saying that. You don't want to tell people not to go and watch. That's not what my point is. I'm saying that the Flames need to take a long, hard look in the mirror and figure out what they are. And if the rest of you don't want to be here, like Kachuk and Gaudreau, then F off. Pack your S and hit the road.
23 days till the deadline, Red.
They're the shits. And it's not, you can't tell me they're a tight team and they like each other.
I mean, you could, but I don't believe it.
Well, we've heard that.
We've heard it a bunch,
before,
right?
Right? Like, get lost. Quit treating us like idiots.
Yeah.
Oh, we're a really good group. No, you're not. You're just not. So, Uyghur's terrible. Like this.
The mistakes are big. I would cringe to imagine this blue line without him because he is a guy that can log big minutes. I don't think they have a fourth guy that you could put in the top four, but the mistakes are too glaring. They just are.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not hanging the losses on him. I'm just saying that it's not. He gave up that play, the goal they scored on late in the second period, wasn't it? That's him. That's him.
So I would love to walk me through what you saw, because I see it's an even numbers situation. It's either 3-on-3 or 2-on-2, depending how zoomed in you want to get. And his man makes that little short area pass, but I thought it was Lindholm that lost Larkin that cut it.
Yeah, but he's reaching for the puck.
Okay. So that's why I'm asking.
He's reaching to try and anyway. And if he hits the puck, it's a good play. But if he doesn't, and the pass gets through, and it's in our net, you've got to read the play too. Who's coming with more speed, and whether you're. It's not as simple as saying we have numbers. It's an instinct thing from years of playing, and he's had those years of playing where you're watching guys come at you and you know who's speed. If you're a back checker, doesn't have the speed, the guy that he's supposed to be taking, you can't lunge to try and take the puck away. Right?
That's fair.
It's right. Anyway, it's not Uyghur. It's the whole team. And you know what?
It is.
Get your coaches and get your heads out of your ass, because whatever you're telling these guys, they ain't buying. They're not buying in. It's in one ear and out the other. They're not playing with emotion. And these effing veterans that we've talked about before, hit the road. Hit the road. I don't need to see them.
One stat tonight, and it's telling. It feels like the season in a single snapshot, and it's the reason that this team isn't where anyone thought they would be. Play along with me here. At 5-on-5 tonight, which is where, most of the game is played. They got penalty issues, but this is just 5-on-5. The Calgary Flames outshoot Detroit 28-7. So they allow 7 shots over a course of a full hockey game at even strength. That's it. Scoring chances, 6-5 Detroit. That's courtesy Ryan Pike from FlamesNation.
Wow.
And does that not tell the whole story? For all the possession, for all the zone entries, for all the cycling, they got 28 shots, and Detroit on 7 shots created more scoring chances. 7 shots in the whole game. And it's what's mind-numbing about this team, because Jesus, if they had some finish or any sort of creativity or a will or a wherewithal to create chances from the slot, you could see how they could be good. But the flip side is a Daryl Sutter team, sure, they could allow 7 shots. I'd believe that in a whole game. But allowing 5 scoring chances on 7 shots, that's not what Daryl teams do.
No. So here's what I would say about the first part of that. The shots. The reason they have so many effing shots, it's because they don't have the skill to make other plays. I'm telling you, man,
They're settling for low shots for sure.
Yes, they're settling to take a shot because there's no speed, there's no creativity, there's not enough skill to make those nice plays that set up an actual scoring opportunity. And that can be fine, maybe. I think it's old and I think it's ancient and I think it's had its day and it's probably done. But if you are going to do that, then you had better have 5 or 2 lines, 6 forwards that all they can do is go crash the goalie.
Yeah, totally.
That's it. That goalie, every goalie you play against should be run over 18 times a game.
And it's funny because how many nights has it been like, oh, there's and look, Billy Husso, it's been a busy night. No, it hasn't. Like, it's been busy, but like, how many amazing saves like Vladar had to make way more saves.
It's a great night for the goalie because he faces a lot of rubber, but they're all outside. It's like practice. It's like,
gets to feel the puck, get into the rhythm.
It's wonderful for a goalie. Wonderful game for goalie to get feeling good.
And so again, that stat at even strength, 5-on-5, the Flames outshoot Detroit 28-7. That's a factor of 4-1, if my math is correct. And I believe it is. So for every 1 shot Detroit's getting, you're getting 4. Detroit ends up 6-5, leading on scoring chances at even strength. That's exactly what's fucking wrong with this team, Red. It's everything. Yeah. That stat tells you the whole season. And it's also why it feels like even when you think Markstrom's playing well, it's 3-on-19. And Vladar was sensational. And his save percentage will go down tonight because I don't know that he saw 20. Let's pull it up. It's just in front of me here. Like total shots on net, close, 17. And he was awesome. And it's a sub 900 night for Vladar because he stopped.
See, and I don't know, like
15 again, of 17. Like, fuck.
I'm not in the coach's room, and I don't know that the coaches are screaming at him to shoot. But I got a hard time believing they're trying to tell him to make better plays or hang on to pucks and let's curl up and find late guys and you know what I mean? Like,
play it back to the point, funnel stuff to the net. It's tried and true with Darryl, but it's not working this time for, whether the league's changed enough or if it's too easy for goalies or it's not the right cast in front. And somewhere along the way, you turn a 115-point guy into a dud. Yeah, I don't know how he did it.
Don't use waster shots. Don't hang on to pucks. Make plays. That's what they're preaching. They're not preaching rifle pucks on net every chance you get. You know what? It's just I'm so frustrated with it because it just reeks of a bunch of BS again, stuff that we've been not last year. Last year they had a hell of a season and blah blah blah, but 2 years ago, we all love each other. We're a real tight team. You sucked, and you lied to us. And the years before that, you've done it before, and it's the same package over and over. You're mediocre, and what are we building towards?
You're not. I mean, this is your
window.
What are
we building towards?
They have a 3 to 5 year window with this group, and year 1 has gone miserably, if we're being honest. Like, if the playoffs start today, you're out.
Yeah.
That's not a small sample anymore.
What is you always use? I'm just putting you on the spot here, but what is the percentage? I forget the website that you use.
No, they're still floating around. It would have been 80 before this game. They lose, it'll drop. It's somewhere into the low 70s is my guess. Because they have a soft schedule and because the roster has talented players and because the model probably isn't as bullish on teams like LA and Minnesota. But it's just, look, if you're not going to beat the bad teams, it really doesn't matter if you have a soft schedule. That's what this is coming down to.
One of the things, if you fluke your way into the playoff spot, who are they beating?
Yeah, sorry, you're glitching out a little, Rhett. So I'll buy you some time I think what you're saying is so let's say you get in, like who are you beating? I don't think that they're a better team than anyone they'll face in the playoffs, but I also didn't think Montreal was better than 3 teams they beat on the way to the final. Crazy things happen in this tournament all the time, but certainly you're not going to be favored or in a good spot to win. You're going to need to get a red hot goalie and fluke your way through in a sense. And that happens all the time in this tournament, but that can't be a chips in move or strategy, right?
Well, you're right. And
Sorry, you're glitching.
Yeah.
Can we get Rhett to reset here? We'll pause right here. We'll pick things back up once we get back on track here. Tanner, you can walk me through this, whether we get him to relink up or whether we should. Okay, you get him to relink, and I'll walk people through this scoring summary here. So we'll do this. We got the cheers of the game coming up for BK Bowfort Liquor. We've also got buy it or sell it for Derrick Newman of Newman Dean's Real Estate with CIR. And the scoring summary, there wasn't much of it. One of the things that has been dreadful for the Calgary Flames this season is their play when they're up by a goal. They've had leads. They have not done a good job of holding on to leads nor expanding on leads. I think of that game on a Saturday, middle of January against Dallas. They get up, 5-1, 6-1. And, of course, they have to hang on to win 6-5. They get a goal here late in the second period at even strength. It's Blake Coleman for the third game in a row, I believe, scoring, because he scored in Seattle. He scored on Broadway. He scores tonight, his 12th of the year from Hanifin and Backlund. It's the Backlund line again getting it done. They've scored 4 goals the last 2 games, that line. There's not a lot of scoring for the rest of the roster, not on that line when you look back to the overtime loss in New York. And then, of course, the regulation loss in Detroit tonight. Coleman from Hanifin and Backlund makes it 1-0. And how long does it take? Well, 1 minute and 39 seconds. That's all. Where, as Red alluded to, it's the rush on. Uyghur gets the puck slid past him. Lindholm loses his man. It's Larkin, 16th of the year from Perron and Mo Sider. 1-1 with 14 seconds left in the period. Drives you nuts. Yes, it was on a Detroit power play. But it wasn't zone time and sustained pressure. It was just a rush at them. And with 14 seconds, you had that horn to help you. If they gained the zone, but you could keep them to the outside, all you needed to do was to get to the 14 seconds further to get to the intermission. And then I believe you had 50 seconds left to kill on that penalty. We'll get to the penalties in a moment. That ties the game. They always say it, whether it's true or not. Goals in the first minute or the last minute seem to take the wind out of your sails. It's 1-1 going into the intermission. And then sure enough, 5:51 into the third, Zadina from Sundqvist and Haig. Zadorov caught way up the ice. And Michael Stone with no help and all kinds of time for Zadina and Sundqvist on the 2-on-1. Back and forth it goes. No chance for Vidar. That's your game winner. Rhett, we've got you back. I think we'll see how the reception is. The penalties were a big issue tonight. And when you factor in Zadorov's double minor with getting caught up ice on the game winner, there's a lot of tools to like about this player, but some of the decision-making drives you batty. And here he is elevated in a top 4 role where you needed him with Rasmus Andersson out. And that's the game-winning goal where he got way up the ice.
Yeah, there's such a thing as trying to do too much, right?
Yes, you're still not great there, but it feels like it's a lot. He's on the ice for both goals against. In Larkin's power play marker, Zadina, the game winner, 2-1, your final score. Afterburner curse is real. 2 wins, 5 losses, 3 overtime setbacks, a meager 7 of a possible 20 points for games where we've done the post-game show. We'll get Rhett back and we'll do buy and sell for Derrick Newman of Newman Dean's Real Estate with CIR Realty. Buy it or sell tonight is the Flames should not be buying at the deadline or making an acquisition beyond a late round flyer. I'm talking first 3-4 rounds, prospects, roster players. The Calgary Flames should not be shedding those types of assets at the trade deadline. I think it's an easy buy for me. It's also easy to do after a loss to Detroit. If they beat Buffalo on Saturday in a matinee and they come back and beat Ottawa on Monday night, you might feel differently. They've got 22 days until the trade deadline, March 3rd, by my math. Short month, February. I believe it's extra short this year. Look, are they missing some pieces? Could a second line sniper help? Yeah. Could another defenseman help? Absolutely. But the notion of moving futures for present for this roster at this juncture of the season where they're located, where they are in the standings, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, if you can go get a depth defenseman to play on the third pair, for a fourth or a fifth, like a Fantenberg, Derrick Forbort type swap, I'll listen to that. I'd consider that. But the notion that you could be hunting for big game or trying to reel in a big fish here at the deadline, firsts, prospects, doesn't fit. That's not what this group is. You do that when your team's contending, like last year when they brought in Toffoli and Yarn Croak and Ryan Carpenter, who didn't touch the ice, it seemed, but that's what you do when you feel like you're close, is you bolster your lineup, you get more depth, and if you're fortunate or good or both, you have long runs, and those guys can help you. This does not look like a team destined for a long run. This does not look like a team that's a sure thing to be in the playoffs at all. And I don't know that anyone is going to push back hard on that after tonight. Certainly, I get fans wanting them to add, but this isn't, the go pick something for free aisle. You're going to hinder assets and future rosters of this team to go add a big player to this team now. You don't go and get Timo Meier or Patrick Kane, very theoretically speaking on both accounts, without giving up significant pieces of your future, be it a first rounder, multiple first, be it a second rounder, be it a top prospect, be that a Wolf, a Pelche, or a young cost controlled player like even Dylan Dubé, for example. And I'm not suggesting that they're very close to doing these things, and we're not trying to talk the Flames in or out of anything, but they're not in a spot where they're a player away. They're not in a spot where, if we just get this guy, clearly it all makes sense. They're in a spot where it's like, you're going to have to find a way to get some more difference makers in here. Your first rounder this year, you best be using that on a player that can help you for the next 8 to 15. I have a really tough time with the notion of this group going out and getting a high-priced rental. Term's going to be tough. They're screwed with the cap. They really are. But for Derrick Newman of Newman Dean's Real Estate with CIR Realty, good luck finding someone to fight me on this. But the Flames should not be parting with a significant future asset to help this roster this season. And I think we're all buying it at this point. I don't know how much pushback there can be. You could tell me they'd be better with more of this or that, but deadline prices ain't the ones that, I'm glad we did that. No Rhett, 10 man. Well, you got an update for me here? What do we know about the Rhettster here? Okay. All right. So we've sent some links. We'll see if Rhett can get a better connection there. It has not been good from the home studio in Buffalo. Cheers to the game. We'll do this. This is for BK Bowfort Liquor for Mandeep and the crew, located across from Winsport on the Trans-Canada as you're heading out of town. Grab a nice bottle of something. Maybe it's fancy tequila. Maybe you want to make some cocktails. Maybe it's a lovely wine, a 6-pack. If you've forgotten mix, whatever it is, Mandeep's got you set up at BK Bowfort Liquor on your way out of town towards the mountains, just across from Winsport, COP, all the Hockey Canada headquarters, all that good stuff. So make sure you pop in and say hi. The toast of the game, the cheers of the game. It's got to be Dan Vladar, doesn't it, Tan Man? Jeez. Yeah. Wasn't busy, but had a lot of big saves to make. I'm thinking about that power play penalty kill for the Flames. The power play for the Wings. He slides to his right, makes the huge blocker save on Perron. This was a very tidy performance from the Flames backup, who has been the better of the two goalies this season. He didn't get the run support. I don't blame him on either goal. It's essentially a partial break in tight, and then a 2-on-1 where they had all the time in the world to zip it back and forth until, Stone's on his belly and there's an empty net for a shooter. I thought Vladar was very good in this game and worthy of certainly starting again. I don't know if that turn comes as on the matinee in Buffalo on Saturday or if it's Monday in Ottawa or beyond. But look, 2 goals against, that's tidy. You'll take it. You got to be able to score more than one if you expect to win in this league. And one thing of note, late in the second, it's 1-0 Flames. Less than 30 seconds remaining in the second period. Flames are sitting with the old goose egg on goals against. 20 minutes and 14 seconds away from their first shutout of the year. They lose 2-1 in this contest in Detroit, game 2 of this 4-game road trip. Buffalo and Ottawa to follow. Last year, they had, I believe, 10 shutouts, 9 for Jacob Markstrom alone. And it's not looked defensively a lot like last year's group. Again, the scoring chances 6-5 for Detroit, despite the heavy difference on the shot clock. 36-17, 36-17, your final shot tally. Flames, much more pucks to net. Red Wings creating the better quality, which is got to be a massive point of frustration for the fan base, this club, and I imagine the coaching staff and players as well. 1-1 on this road trip, one of a possible 4 points and 2 games to go. Toast of the game to Dan Vladar, who ends up tying, not setting a new Calgary Flames record for point streak. He had a mark of 10 wins, 3 overtime setbacks, and 0 regulation losses. That now snapped tonight by the Wings. A 2-1 victory there. Rhett, catching you up. Our toast of the night, I'm giving it to Dan Vladar, who was sensational at times tonight, and the only 2 goals, extremely high-quality chances against. His point streak comes to an end at 13 games. A thought on Vladar this evening?
Well, he gives him a chance, doesn't he?
A blocker save early against Perron is the one that really stands out. A big save there when it was 0-0.
Before we cut out, we're still glitching.
Try it again. You were saying before you cut out, and he's gone. He's cut out. So Vladar, our toast of the game. We'll see if we get Rhett sorted out. We'll come back with a final thought on the buy or sell. Frustrating. This is a night where Rhett's champing at the bit, and it's a night where you want to look bigger picture and say, why were we all so sure this was going to work when it looks so flawed? And maybe they bounce back with dominant sound performances, but Robert Munnick, who cuts up highlights and puts them on Twitter, Ring of Fire is the Twitter handle, said he had 20 highlights cut from the Rangers-Flames game on Monday tonight. 6. That is some low event hockey, and again, to have 36 shots on net and 5 scoring chances, that just doesn't match up. One of the things the Flames have struggled mightily at, they've created a significant number of rush chances and odd man rushes. The ability to get a scoring chance out of them, it's incredible how futile they are by that measure. To think that you can create 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s, odd man rushes and not get shots on net, miss the net, passes into skates. And the flip side seems to be the exact opposite. If the Flames surrender a 2-on-1, it feels like there's a misplay by the defense or a beautiful play by the opposition, and bang, it's in the back of your net. It's been an immensely frustrating, measure for the Flames. Is getting into spots where you should create scoring chances hasn't been an issue. It's actually ending up with those scoring chances that has been really tough for this group. And that's doesn't match up with expectations, does it? Power play struggled. Power play was really rough. I know Daryl's come out of the break here with some new look power play units. Pelche out there with Kadri and Huberdeau, and there's probably some benefits of keeping that line together. But what it's done is it's spread the talent over 2 units. And hey, I'm not here to say don't try things and switch it up. They head into the All-Star break with that power play somewhere around 24th, 25th in the NHL. By all means, try things. It's not working, the new stuff, at least not yet. Opportunities all night to really either tie this game, take a lead in this game, just not enough. You get a power play with less than 4 minutes left and muster 2 shots, not good enough. And it's another 1-goal game, to which the Calgary Flames are the best in the NHL. Nobody plays more 1-goal games than the Calgary Flames. Don't get blown out. Never win by more than a couple. It's only 1-goal games. And on this night, the Detroit Red Wings, 1 specialty goal, the Calgary Flames 0. It really is that fine of a line. Rhett, the power play could have made quite an impact this season when you look at how many close games they played. It went over 3 tonight.
It's to a point now where, well, we're still glitching. I'm out.
You're sounding good right now. You're actually sounding good.
Oh,
So keep going.
Okay, because I'm watching your face talk. It's like stop.
Oh.
All
right.
The power play is just, well, it's not existent. And if Huberdeau
I
can't help, if Huberdeau
cursed it. You're
can't help you, if Huberdeau can't do it, then your power play is not going to be good the rest of the year.
Okay, you're done, Brett. Thank you. Apologize to our listeners that feed's not working. You sounded good for a full sentence, and then it was out curtains. Somewhere in the robotic glitching there, you need Huberdeau to be a difference on the power play, and I don't know that we have a good answer or explanation as to why this hasn't worked, but it has not worked. Jonathan Huberdeau as a Calgary Flame has been an unmitigated disaster to this point. And, you see everything on social media in terms of pointing fingers and why. He has been a point per game player for the last half decade in this league. This wasn't some fluky season that the Calgary Flames were, chasing. It was a track record of 4 years in a row where he had more points than games played and wasn't playing next to the best players on the Florida Panthers. For whatever reason, this fit has not been good at all. I see people questioning work ethic. I don't know that feels like an easy thing to say. I don't think that that's necessarily what I'm seeing. I certainly see a player that's not confident right now. It would be crazy to watch a game and say, oh, Huberdeau is feeling it tonight. It's quite the opposite. It looks like someone who's trying so hard to make things happen that he's putting pucks in spots that he shouldn't be. And I'll just rip it, the seam pass through someone's legs. It doesn't work. Stunner. But this is a major issue for the Calgary Flames. And certainly there's been a lot of conversation right from the get-go until now, and for good reason, that this is a different system. He's being asked to play the game differently. Can Daryl Sutter build a better role for this player in this system? Does Daryl Sutter need to find a different system for Jonathan Huberdeau to exist in? Can Jonathan Huberdeau exist in the Daryl system as we've come to expect his teams to play? It's a question that I don't have answers for, but it ain't working. And it's not like, well, at least he's done at the end of the year. It's the beginning of an 8-year contract that's heavily signing bonus laden, impossible to buy out essentially, that takes him deep into his 30s. And it's not as simple as just, hey, look, this, it's not working with this coach. Man, when's Daryl going to be on the hot seat? I'll tell you when Daryl's going to be on the hot seat, when he's not with a fresh extension in his pocket. Daryl linked an extension, I believe, is around training camp. It's rumored to be a 3-year deal. That doesn't even kick in, I believe, till next year. Even if it wiped out the last year of his current deal and started now. Daryl, make the seat as hot as you want. The GM's a free agent at the end of the summer, and the coach has got at least 3 years, if not more. How's this owner like paying 2 coaches? We could do a little history on that just in the last, in the Brad Treliving era. Bob Hartley goes. He's on payroll for another year. They bring in Glenn Gulletson, first-time coach, very limited track record in the NHL beyond being an assistant. Not a high salary. Didn't work. Then they go get Bill Peters. There's incidents unearthed from his past, and I don't blame the Flames for not knowing that. I don't think any of us knew about it. And he has to go. And it's like, okay, well, now Bill Peters is on payroll. Jeff Ward, come on in. Longtime assistant, never been a head coach. Very small salary. There's already a coach on payroll. Okay, well, that didn't work. Now Daryl comes back into the fray, has one great year as a coach that has a shelf life, that wears on guys, that might not be the best fit for millennials, but in short spurts, he can get the most out of guys. And he gets an extension before we get to see a second full campaign. The timing just made no sense to me at any point. And given that the GM doesn't have term beyond this season on his contract, and that the coach has a strong, at least long-standing relationship with the owner, like this is a mess if it's going to go this way with Huberdeau and Sutter, because it's not as if it's like, well, the player's here for long-term. I guess we got to change the coach. The coach ain't going anywhere. Unless Daryl wants to leave, he's not going. And I think that's a topic that we're going to have to talk about. And, you'd love to see the player figure it out. But at this point, it'd be surprising. If Jonathan Huberdeau looked like a point per game player, you'd be like, what the hell are we watching? It wouldn't be like, yes. It would be like shocking. You'd love it. But that's a major issue for this group moving forward. And I don't really have time for the hindsighting of what a horrible decision it was. No one criticized that this summer. So if you don't like it now, of course you don't. It's not working. How you solve this is really what's going to figure out or prove how good this organization is. Can you solve this problem? It's a significant one right now. One of the worst forwards on the ice tonight, if not their worst. Tough night for 10. 2-1 your final. Big thank you to our sponsors, BK Bowfort Liquor, across from Winsport, to Derrick Newman of Newman Dean's Real Estate with CAR Realty, and all our other great sponsors that we've got on Barn Burner. It won't be a boring show tomorrow as the Flames fall 2-1 in Motown tonight. A 1-0 lead with less than a half minute remaining in the second turns into a regulation loss. It's one of a possible 4 points to open this 4-game road trip. Buffalo matinee on Saturday, 10:30 puck drop Calgary time, and then Ottawa on Monday. 2 other teams similar to Detroit. Plucky in a tough division, out of a playoff spot, but feeling pretty good about themselves. Buckle up. It's been Afterburner. See you tomorrow on Barn Burner.